Welcome to the acclaimed podcast, The Deep Dive, featuring your esteemed hosts, Andy Monitor and Drew Dinzik, powered by BetSperts.
Welcome to The Deep Dive. Andy, I got good news and bad news. The good news is we got more football this week. There are no teams on bias. The bad news is the games absolutely suck. This is a weird week of football. We're going to have to rip through some of these games where we just are like, I don't know. There's a huge number, but it probably should be huge. Is it big enough? Is it too small, too big? And I don't know. It's going to be a funky week, I think. And I've had a tough time really focusing on football, partly because last week I got my teeth kicked in, and I didn't even have that many bets last week or that big of bets last week. So I'm just like I'm struggling to find anything to invest my interest in this football season, if we're being honest.
You can't lead with I hate football in the football.
What are you invested in about this year's football season besides this just the weekly cyclical entertainment?
Every week is a blessing. Every week is a blessing, Drew. And week 8 is no different. I think it's a come down off of, obviously I had a bad betting week as well. And like getting 3 like championship level, at least championship game / Super Bowl level matchups in 1 week like we had, and then this week having like all these double digit favorites, all these like there's some serious questions about what kind of adjustments we need to make for like 4 different quarterback situations. I mean, there's people that have been traded. Like it does make for a weird week. And there's a couple of games, like I said that about Cleveland. I'm struggling to put a good number to Cleveland based on the changes. I don't know how morale will adjust to that. I don't know how I feel about this coaching staff. And I looked at him, but like, there's a couple of games where it's just like, I don't care what my numbers say. I don't care what the inside matchups say. It's like, I'm not betting the Cleveland game. I can't bet the Cleveland-Baltimore game at this juncture. Like there's 3 or 4 of those where it's like, well, my numbers say this and the matchups say this. And it looks like something
that was my whole process.
I have to leave it alone.
The dog shit teams, I can't get there in terms of fair, but I'm sure shit not taking the points. There's too many teams with an incentive to really pivot on, are they trying to win? And I don't want to get caught with those, holding bags on those teams. I mean, it feels like deja vu all over again. Lamar Jackson's your MVP. Deja vu over again. TJ Watt's your DPOI. The Chiefs are probably just going to win the Super Bowl again. The only kind of real interesting story, as far as I could tell you, is maybe the Lions are going to make their first ever Super Bowl, which would be fascinating. And I guess the breakout of Daniels and maybe Caleb Williams is of note. But we got some rough teams to handicap here.
Yeah, I don't know, and I saw that too. Like Lamar's down to plus 250. That's. Somebody on the timeline had a big bet on that. It's like, no, baby, what's we doing? Like,
not a 250.
It's way too early to be, laying the hammer down on a plus 250 for MVP in week 7.5, essentially. So much shit can happen, especially with a running court. Like, if he was a pocket passer as well protected, that's one thing. But this is a guy that runs the ball 8 times a game, and like, man. That the MVP market is just like one hard hit or just like one turned ankle away. He misses 4 or 5 games and just it's curtains unless he comes back and it just nails at the end. And even Goff, I thought Goff might jump Josh Allen in some of the odds. He was still kind of behind him. Mahomes being up there is puzzling because it's the defense that's I don't know. He's getting the full Brady effect. Even like, Brady had great years. Brady had decent years, and Brady had some years where there was a really good defense playing for him, and he just did what he needed to do, and they won a ton of games. And that's kind of where we're at. Like Mahomes throwing some interceptions, I think that regresses, but like he's not making these.
Just hold your thoughts on Mahomes until we get to the Chiefs, because like we're gonna have a sincere conversation about the good plays. Like, are there any good plays other than Mahomes scramble? Like, I don't know, man. Anyway, let's talk about these. Let's start with a game that actually I am very excited about. Tomorrow, you and I will join Sammy P for a little preview talk of a game that features Your local boys against my local boys in LA. We will be talking about the
They're from
Vikings
St.
and the
Louis.
Rams. Well, their most recent Super Bowl would say otherwise. It was an LA
fair.
Super Bowl in LA. So the Rams have stolen the hearts of everyone. No one's even thinking about the Dodgers World Series around here. They're all geared in on the Rams saving their season against the Vikings, Andy. It's all anyone can talk about down at the coffee shop. The support for the Rams has been strong this week. I bet the Rams it's come and wane. It's ebbed and flowed. It's there was pushed down to 2.5, backed out to 3, now back to a juicy 3 if you want the Rams. I took 3 here. I think that you can see Stafford, and I expect Kupp to be a full go. I don't know that the rumors mill around Stafford to Minnesota made much sense this week.
I don't mind this Settlement character, but I don't think he's a newsbreaker. Like some of these if a big enough account says something, like Dove Kleiman and those guys are just gonna, NFL, MFL rumors, like all those aggregator accounts are gonna grab it, and suddenly it's news. Like I don't think the Stafford thing had any legs. Obviously, like the Kupp news felt very real because
why would the Vikings want Stafford?
I mean, if you're gonna
modicum of an upgrade for a championship pursuit this year, but then you got a problem with your future.
That's
I don't really get
weird. I guess it would have to be. I don't know what his contract situation is. I don't know how many more years he's under contract, but if it were like his last year, maybe I get it as an all-in thing. But yeah, if it's something where you have to take on a contract and take on salary, which is what the Rams would want. The Rams would want to move on from some salary. That's what they'd want to, they're willing to take some with Kupp, it sounds like, if they can get a high enough draft pick. But the Rams probably do need to start rebuilding at this point. And Kupp isn't young. It's crazy. He's grown up quick. He's past 30. So, yeah, and that's the thing, too. Stafford has been on the cusp of retiring every offseason, according to the reports, for 5 years now?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess you don't have to. Sam's pointing out you wouldn't have to play Darnold then. So I don't know. It's crazy. I think for handicappers and people who've bet this game, they're lucky this is a Thursday game because there's less of a chance somebody.
I read Sam's note, and I thought he was talking about Justin Jefferson with JJ, and I was like, "Are you fucking crazy?" Sam wouldn't. He's trolling. He's
JJ McCarthy.
He meant JJ McCarthy.
Too many JJs. Yeah. So I get it. I don't think anyone moves. I am not in agreement with you that we get a full complement of Kupp.
Oh, you think he's going to be on a pitch count?
They already said that. I mean, they said that it was real light. It wasn't like an official report, but the word like eased in was used, and people said he might be on a pitch count. I don't think it's like 10 plays. I think he plays half the plays or better.
Well, based on like the 22 targets a game he was getting earlier this year, a pitch count might mean like 12 targets.
Yeah, I think he still gets volume. The other issue is like if he's on the trade block and you are truly becoming a seller, every time you put him out there on the field, you risk just seeing him be done for the year, and then you're paying him instead of, moving on and getting a second rounder. So I wonder if the pitch count is part injury, part, hey, like the baseball thing where, hey, this guy's sitting today. That means he's traded, essentially. So it'll be interesting to see. He looked good in practice last week.
Yeah, good thing Jordan Whittington also is back at practice. I expect that Stafford's going to do a pretty damn good Jared Goff impression. I love a McVay system and McVay quarterback against a aggressive defense. And not sure in a short week that Flores is as good of a coach as he is, and as much as I admire him, I'm not sure he's got the answers to be able to stop this group. And I think that the real key about the Rams is their offensive line continues to get healthier and play better. And the better you protect Stafford, the better he plays. And in general, I think if they can start getting it going in the run game on top of, start getting the pass protection better in addition to what is already a very good run blocking unit, then that offense is just going to look sort of solid. And I think the defense is a hair underrated. So for all those reasons, I think it should be under 3. And I played the Rams.
Yeah, I disagree a little, but not to the point where I'm playing the Vikings. I'm pretty much on market with this. I did play an under. Stafford didn't look good last week, and he wasn't under a ton of pressure. He was only sacked the one time, a couple of knockdowns, but like this is a definite step up, and it's even with Shanahan, or excuse me, McVay. We mix them up. It is
Jordan's out. Oh,
I think so.
Is he?
It is. He's our guy to. He's
I
our
thought
guy
he
to
was
tease,
back
though.
to practice. Anyway,
I think he was ruled out earlier today.
no, damn it. No, that's how.
But they got Cup. So maybe Cup's pitch count goes away because he has to play. But no, I wasn't impressed with the Rams' offense, and the Minnesota run defense is markedly better than what the Raiders put out there. So I worry that maybe not getting pressure isn't even going to matter that much. If it's basically our coverage versus your receivers couldn't be able to stop the run. I think the Rams are going to be very limited. And at the same time, even though I have them rated like in the 20s for a defense, the Rams defense does some nice things. Like they are getting good pressure rates. They're getting good win rates. They're getting good individual stats from basically all the young players from last year and the 2 rookies from Florida State. Those guys are putting up, decent numbers in some of the pass rush, run stop metrics. It's just not all coming together because there's been some injuries and that secondary is a little rough. I do think Hawkinson is good to go. I don't know that they'll put, and also he's a tight end too, where he's not a wide receiver one where, hey, my X is out there for, 80% of the plays, 90 to 100. Like Hawkinson, it's easier to ease a tight end back. But yeah, Versus looks very good. So I like the Vikings defense quite a bit. I have a pretty big advantage in the run defense for Minnesota. I have a pretty big advantage in the pass rush for both teams against these offensive lines. So I did play it under 48. It feels terrible. I'm just hoping for some, Thursday night vanilla.
Puka Nacua is questionable, which surprised me. Whittington is out. Reader is out. Noteboom is out. Quietly important, Blake Cashman, linebacker for the Minnesota Vikings, is out. Gotta wonder.
Yeah, he missed last week as well.
Andrew Van Ginkel can do a lot, but he can't do it all. He needs Blake Cashman there with him.
He was good last week. Yeah, Minnesota, that's the other one. Hawkinson, it does trend like he is looking in. Cashman's out. Nakua's 21-day practice windows opening up, sounding like maybe next week, if not almost certainly 2 weeks from now, he'll go.
Okay.
Which it's kind of a weird spot because like if you lose this game, you are kind of in blow it up mode as you're saying their gauntlet, which sucks because then it's like, oh, we're getting Cup and Nacua back and we're 2-6. What do you do? What do you
still
do?
2-5? I mean, they're bye. They've had their bye, so they've only lost 4.
Yeah, but they're in the NFC.
5 losses. 5 losses doesn't take you out of the wild card picture.
It does in the NFC.
No. There's wild card. I like right now the Rams. My Rams to make the playoffs is 23%. A loss here doesn't drop that below 10. It's still kind of right in that ballpark. Low teens. So
I'm gonna have to.
There's nobody's running around. Nobody's running away with this. And the NFC North's all gonna have to play each other. They're all gonna hang L's on each other, or the Lions are gonna hang L's on everyone. One of the two.
Yeah.
All right.
A lot of teams jump. All right, next one. But I did play this under Thursday night.
The first game in rotation for Sunday morning is not a London game. I believe the London games are over, but we have a Germany game left, right? It's a bad one, I think. Is it Giants Patriots?
Giants somebody.
I think
it might be Giants Patriots.
Yeah, it's a bad one. Giants Panthers. Oh, it's even worse. It's even worse.
That'll be in 3 weeks, November 10th.
Oh God. Okay. Shower Fart Internet Game of the Year.
Shower Fart International.
Speaking of Shower Fart, we got a tough call this week. This one's probably not in the mix, but maybe. Tennessee takes on Detroit. It sounds like Mason Rudolph continues to get the AOK. You're our starter, I guess, but Tennessee has shipped DeAndre Hopkins, and now it is. I don't even really know what the plan is in terms of developing a team. I think maybe you're just hoping by the end of this year, your offensive line, some pieces have started to round into, we're going to keep you. And the Lions is probably a good opportunity for them to get a little bit of confidence because the Lions pass rush was pretty meager against the Vikings. Absence of Aiden Hutchinson was very obviously felt. The Lions offense should have no real issues with the Titans here, but this is one of the many games this week that we will talk about where my fare is well inside the current market number, and I just don't have much appetite for the road dog. The quality of play out of Jared Goff right now, combined with the quality of systematic just brilliance that Ben Johnson is putting on tape, is enough for me to be scared that the Lions could cover 12 points or more with relative ease. This has a college football Saturday feel to it.
It does. Oh, they're playing Troy. Good. I made some heavy adjustments to a couple of things, and even with Aiden Hutchinson out, what I was forced to do with even with Jameson suspended, I was forced to move up Detroit a little, and I did some digger deeping on Tennessee's defense, and man,
digger deeping.
That wasn't what I meant to say. It's been a long day. Some deeper digging on Tennessee's defense. Had to downgrade some spots there. It was keen on them. Yeah, your CB1 is banged up. That's a huge problem, especially if he doesn't go. I mean, there's just huge matchup advantages across the board. Like the Detroit run block, the Detroit pass block, the Detroit everything offensively against the Tennessee defense. Even if we thought Tennessee's defense was a little squirrely, it hasn't turned out to be as good as I'd hoped. Plus, we've seen some injuries.
Yeah,
there's been. I mean, even as low as I've rated some of the things Detroit's done in coverage, with Hopkins out of the mix, what I've done with the my pass and my offensive numbers for Tennessee, I'm showing you Detroit having a pretty big coverage advantage. So It's basically it's advantages all over the board. I know this is kind of the letdown spot, and teams try to win games, teams don't try to cover games. But if I make some adjustments and I add in my matchup stuff, I can get this up to 12. I don't think I want to lay it though. And kind of it's a really dead spot at home against an AFC team. I have no idea what's going to happen to this one. It feels another 10-0 game maybe. And
another one.
I think the total, what did we end up on this total for now? It is down 44 and a half.
45, yeah.
44 and a half at some joints. So I think the total and the side come down to a late Mason Rudolph drive. They're down 16.
Mm-hmm.
It's
what? My time on Sunday morning is more valuable than sweating that. So pass.
There's no chance I'm getting involved in this because it'd be over or nothing.
Yeah. All right. Let's move to an AFC North battle. These franchises, there's no love lost, Andy. The Baltimore Ravens. The city of Baltimore stole the Browns as a franchise. They renamed
Mayflower trucks at midnight.
Yeah. The Browns were then given a new franchise, and then now Deshaun Watson has destroyed that franchise. Small rest disadvantage with Baltimore on a short week. Small travel disadvantage for Baltimore now. Second week in a row traveling. Everything else is advantage Baltimore as the Browns look to have kind of changed their perspective on what this season means in the wake of the news that Deshaun Watson is now done with the Achilles. Good news, though. He's expected to make a full recovery, Andy. Or good news? Is that good news or great news?
Great news.
They still don't have a wide receiver one because they traded Amari Cooper. They still don't have an offensive line, although that's getting healthier. This is a spot where a lot of people are going to consider the insertion of Jameis Winston a meaningful upgrade for Cleveland. And I wish those people all the best.
I'm getting razzed for my Mayflower things.
That was the Colts.
As soon as I said it, I knew it was the wrong one. Like,
well, they might have used the same Mayflower trucks to bring the Browns back.
The same truck.
But
that was the.
It would be poetic.
Yeah, this is another tough one too because, like I said, when I did my upgrades, downgrades, moving around, where do I put Cleveland? And just a little of it was garbage time, but we have enough of a sample size on Jameis to say he can play at a league average level. We haven't seen him a ton with this offense, but he's, I mean, at worst, slightly below average. At times, a little wild cardy, but if you plug in like his historic numbers, there's no way it's not an upgrade over what you were getting out of Deshaun Watson. I mean, he was either hurt or brain addled or lost or something.
Or
So,
trying to suck.
Or trying to suck. I don't understand how he looked that bad. So like Jameis isn't great, but it is an upgrade. The problem with it is, the defense has struggled a little bit after it was obviously considered a top 5 defense coming in. The offensive line has had the injuries. The running back room has been obviously very injured. We got Chubb back now, but it's not a really good game to be like, well, what if we just lean on Chubb? Oh, against a historic, they're giving up like 3.3 yards a rush, Drew. That's like the 06 Ravens number. I think that was the Ravens number when they were the 00 or 06, whatever defenses, it was just like electric against the run. Nothing was getting through. It's like the same numbers essentially. They're the best running team in the league and their best run stop league. They're a pass funnel. Obviously, Xavier's pointing out. And we heard that all day versus when we saw the Monday night game. But can you take advantage of the pass funnel with a backup quarterback? And I mean, who's your CB1 right now in Cleveland? Who are you giving the brunt of the target share to? Is it just Judy by default, or is it Njoku?
I suppose it's Judy. Yeah, it's Judy. I don't know if it matters.
It does
Judy
seem,
Moore Tillman.
So good news for Marlon Humphrey. It is not a long-term knee injury, but it certainly sounds like this week is very doubtful. Like, I think he's out. Yes, Arthur Mollett is coming back, but Humphrey sounds like he is going to be out. He had 2 nice picks, just kind of right place, right time. But I don't know. It's going to come down to Jameis, because I really don't think, even with Chubb back, they're going to be able to run the ball. Banged up offensive line, God level run stop. So if a game is on the razor's edge and Jameis Winston's guiding that, I don't know. Is that something you want to? Is that something you're really excited to take the points with? Because it feels like a wild variance game.
I'm kind of excited to take the points because
kind of
like, if you just spam the board taking points this week, you're probably
2 for 3,
3-2, 2-3, and if it's bad, if it's 1-4, if it's 0-5, then you just martingale it next week because you're going to get even more with all of these terrible teams. But yeah, no, looking at the grades so far, Jerry Jeudy actually is clearly the best wide receiver that the Browns have. Elijah Moore and Cedric Tillman probably shouldn't be in the league. So if it's a healthy dose of Jeudy, Njoku, and Chubb, okay, they might have a little something cooking. It's worth noting the Browns switched play callers. Did you say that?
Yeah, no, I hadn't said that yet, but Ken Dorsey is going to take over play calling. Weird timing for basically once a week. We have, weird timing for this, Cleveland. Last week was the demotion of Jameis Winston. Now he's starting. If you missed it too, the backup is Bailey Zappi, who was signed this week. So we're one turned ankle away from Zappi versus Lamar, which could be.
If this were over 2 scores, then I guess maybe I would have given it more consideration. But under a 10, I'm out on this game, and I'm sure some people. Some kind of contrarians are going to go hog wild betting Cleveland this week. And again, like, I wish them the best of luck, but I'm not interested.
Are they a pass funnel, or have they played a bunch of good quarterbacks?
That is a very fair point.
But at the same time, they haven't been able to shut that down either.
No. And Roquan, I mean, honestly, like, Roquan Smith's coverage has been a huge problem and teams have been scheming specifically against that. And then, I mean, if you can find the kind of the weak link in the among the cornerbacks, you can do some damage. And I don't know, Marlon Humphrey in the nickel wasn't really doing it for me. Kyle Hamilton hasn't been quite as effective in the pass defense this year. So I don't know. All around, it's not just the quarterbacks, but the quarterbacks they have faced definitely matter. Yeah,
McDonald unlocked Kyle Hamilton, and he's not here anymore. And I wonder if that's why you're seeing a bit of a regression there and how they're using him. I don't know what the game plan will be. Like you said, this is the toughest one probably to price, because you have a new quarterback, a new play caller, a wide receiver one that's no longer on a team, and a pass funnel defense, maybe an electric run defense. Like, what is the game plan from Cleveland?
But by the way, to Josh's point, part of the calculus of being a pass funnel is they have a very good run defense. So if you sit down,
turns them into like, this is what we should
if
do.
you sit down and you're like, okay, what do we want our game plan to look like? Oh my God, it's got to be pass. Like there's really no clear and obvious way to do any type of kind of balanced attack against these guys, because you're just going to put yourself in a negative down and distance. It's going to feel very Slowick-esque. All right, you want to move on?
Yeah, I like the over a little, but I just don't understand what the Cleveland game plan will be. I'll have to kind of wait and bet that one.
I don't either. Okay. Packers, Jags. Jacksonville returns from London. They are catching money for the fourth week in a row. They're aggressively getting bet
at home.
Now they're at home, and they're playing a team that has sort of a wild ceiling offensively, but is not necessarily efficient and clinical and mistake free. The Jags defense is the unit that I worry the most about if you are taking the points with the home dog here. The Jags offense should be able to do whatever they want against this Packers defense. I still think the Packers defense is crazy overrated by market. I think Jags team total over is a fun angle here. I think the full game over is a fun angle here. It's only 49.5 right now. My fair on this one is 50.2. So teeny little edge there. It's taking a little money to the under apparently, which means somebody again believes in this Jags defense, which really surprises me.
Yeah, I don't know where do you rank the Green Bay defense in the hierarchy of things. I have them below average in run stop. I have them average pass rush, average, slightly above average in coverage. Like they are just kind of bang average for me, which is fine because it's not the worst thing to have because you have a really good offense. Like you're not going to have everything. You can't have it all. It's hard to build a team that has a top 5 defense, top 5.
And they had a nose for taking the ball away.
They do. They've had some turnover luck. I've started to dig into that a little too. Some of the turnover luck and seeing like how that's affecting the game, because like some of the biggest EPA plays obviously are turnovers. And you see teams like, well, is this team really this bad, or have they lost 40 points in the last 3 weeks on 6 turnovers? Something along those lines. Now, I have Green Bay's defense bang average.
Very good. Okay, so I do too. I'm actually 15th out of 32, so I'm a little above average for them. But I think all your ratings were fair. Right now, Green Bay's EPA per play on defense is 6th in the NFL. That is surprising to see. But guess what, Andy? If you exclude plays with turnovers for all teams, it drops to 16th, which would be bang average.
Bang average. No, I think.
Hey, this is fun. I'm on Ben Baldwin's page. You know how he gives you the automatic mean of both axes? You want to know the team that falls the closest?
On the origin?
The team that falls the closest to the origin is the Green Bay Packers. Well, no team closer to the origin.
This total actually ticked down a little. It's back down to 49.5. I understood the over move, especially from look ahead, because I know they're getting healthier and they were missing at least one cornerback for the entirety of the season. But if you go back and look at like only using rear facing numbers for the Jags off or pass coverage unit, I have them like bottom 3. It is a 10th percentile coverage unit going backwards. And that number can't be what it is. I mean, I can't use that number because they have gotten healthier, but it looks like a very bad mismatch for the coverage still against Jordan Love and this offense and what they put together between the wide receivers, tight ends. And it has been a better run stop unit. The pass rush has been really hit or miss, but I have Jacksonville's, like you said, Jacksonville's defense just rated so low that I'm kind of close to this number. So I get people taking it. This is a home game. I don't know what people are deciding they want to make of the travel spot. Like you said, it's easier to travel east to west. But at the same time, what's my number here? Green Bay Jacks. Yeah. I guess I am pro Jacksonville slightly. I make it like 3.5. What are we at now?
4.
Yeah, slight lean to Jacksonville, I guess, but I'm not excited to play him with that defense.
Yeah, exactly. That's my 100% my thought. Jags.
What do you think
with
of
the
this total?
lead.
What do you make the total?
Jags. I make the total 50.2, so I would lean over. I don't agree with the steam under, and I guess my thought is the game state that I would be most excited to bet into, because I'll probably watch this game. Should be entertaining. You know,
Yeah,
one of the I take it back. There are fun things to kind of really highlight about the NFL, and you know, one of them is the Green Bay Packers offense. That is a fun show for the most part. And I think a game state that I would be the most excited to bet into, Andy, would be Jags up at halftime. Boy, oh boy, would I love to take Packers second half.
or
That
just
would be
over 24 and a
or
half.
just over. Yeah, just over. Oh, that would be awesome. So I'm gonna keep my powder dry on that game and wait for halftime. If the Packers are winning at half, then
Yeah, I'm
they
trying
probably
to
just win.
I'm trying to find what I have my red zone numbers here somewhere, but it kind of feels like Green Bay is going to depend on if we get they have so many long scoring plays.
Yeah.
And then their red zone offense is 18th in the league, tied for 18th, 54%. So it's one of those where if you get your touchdowns from like 40, 30, 25 yards out, like they've been doing these longer passes that he's finding his guys, this goes over, Green Bay covers. If they end up with guys falling down as they catch the ball at the 5, and you're getting a field goal half the time, I think that's a lot less comfy, and you might end up with a sneaky Jags cover here. So
I dig it.
I guess depends how you feel about the Green Bay offense to really throttle in this one.
Okay.
And yeah, Green Bay is a slow starter. Second half love.
Yeah. That's second half of the game, second half of the season. Be prepared for a lot of Green Bay as we go.
Just gonna call him Greek Josh because I'm not gonna attempt this last name.
I like it. All right. The next game up is Indiana at Indianapolis. I'm watching.
Indiana's fine. It's NBA season.
The Indiana Pacers, and I called Indiana Pacers Indianapolis recently. I wish they would just pick one, but that's fine. The Colts at the Texans, and I make this game 5.6. The market came off of 6 to in direction of the Colts. So that was basically directionally in agreement with me. My total is 47. The market has come down to 45.5. I disagree with that directionality. I am of the opinion that the Texans are the one team that is in healthy control of their division in the AFC that I have the most concern about actually winning it. Because this offense does not look like they're going to be able to flip some switch and be the dynamic unit we expected in CJ Stroud's sophomore season. And that's disappointing. But I think the facts are what they are.
There was so much litigating in that. It was Love and Stroud. Like, who do we think? You know, you get on First Take or Wake Up or NFL in the Morning. I don't even know the names of the goddamn shows. And that was a huge summer thing. Like, which one's more likely to have a great second year? And man, it felt like everybody was on Stroud, and it's looking the other way. Obviously, Love missed a few games with the injury, but yeah, my Houston offensive number has slowly trickled down. And yeah, this is the biggest thing. It's crazy how it was like a terrarium looking at a biome, man. You got to just see it instantly. The on-off splits for Nico Collins during the Bills game. It's like, oh, this offense is fucking rocking. Nico Collins hurts. Like, this is the 1950 Decatur Staleys. Like, this stinks. I don't even think they existed that late. It was not good. And that second half of the Bills Texans games was horrible football to watch. We saw them struggle to move the ball. They had chances against Green Bay because Green Bay kept giving them chances. They probably should have lost that game by more. And I don't know. My numbers and metrics have a pretty good number. In fact, a very high number for the Houston defense, but I don't see it. Like, I'm not seeing everything. It's not coming together. It's like there's some cracks. I think some of that is also turnover, bad luck. And yeah, this is crazy too. He shouldn't completely disable the offense, Patrick says. Like he shouldn't, but like what is going on? And now you're going up against, an Indy team where maybe the only thing, if Buckner's back and they're getting a little healthier, the only thing they can do right is maybe stop the run a little.
Yeah.
And like if you're going to try to lean on Mixon, who's been a big part of what you've had to lean on, it's I don't know, like, what's this going to look like? Because this is the defense you should beat the shit out of. This is a 30-something percentile coverage unit. This is a bad pass rush that's getting healthier. But, like, you're catching them at a time where the defense is still not 100%. You need to take advantage of it. And if it looks like you did last week, Green Bay, like, are you going to cover this number?
Also, you were lucky to beat this team week 1 with Nico.
Yeah. The other fly in the ointment is Anthony Richardson is also kind of not good.
Well,
sophomore.
he still has lots of upside.
He's like 50%.
He still has lots of upside and has played very little football. So I'm not levying any permanent judgment on Anthony Richardson one way or the other for the time being. And between these two coaching staffs, if I had to believe in one, it's certainly Steichen over what's going on right now in Houston. Houston's entire back half is still very hurt. I know that guys are making returns to practice, but they're also signing guys off the street like Devin White, who is quite washed. So I think Houston's potentially in trouble in this game. If they lose this one, the door is wide open for the Colts and maybe even the Jags to still steal the South. I did a lot of price shopping for Jags South this week because, the stranglehold that the Jags had on this division last year was stronger, and they lost. They gave it up. So I don't even really think it's that outrageous with the difference, the delta in schedules remaining to be concerned about the Texans winning this division. The current price on them to win the South is minus 750.
That's incorrect. And
so high.
They should get healthier. I don't have full updates on everybody, but they were missing so many defensive pieces too, in addition to Woods and Nico Collins on the offense. But if they get a little healthier on defense, they can start winning. But that number is way too big.
Talk to me about if you were going to make a bet against, because we don't get to be the book and write minus 750 and laugh about it. We have to try to find another way into this. I don't have a yes no available for me. I want
to punch it in. I want to punch it into the unabated simulator, to some of the simulators and see where I'm at. So I'm not super sure. I want to look at schedules.
Yeah,
is what I'm saying.
That's the thing about the Colts. Like, if the Colts get it done, it's because Anthony Richardson grows this season, and they've clearly made the decision that that's just the path they're going to go. Right?
Yeah, because they could be getting more wins out of Flacco.
They could be getting more wins out of Flacco. Yeah, they could be a higher floor team with Flacco in there. Everybody knows this, but they're electing to continue to try to develop Richardson, which I think is interesting and noteworthy. And so it's very tough to project what your Week 16 Colts rating is going to be, because it could be very different if Richardson stays healthy, which is a question mark, and gets better, which is a question mark. The Jags, to me, are maybe the more interesting team, in part because their price is
they have a quarterback
high, plus 250, and then they have a quarterback, but they got to
switch go to the quarterback tab on running backs don't matter and switch it to like weeks 5 through 8 and see where Trevor falls.
Is T-Law up there? Because
he's in the top 10. Like even kind of a bad Bears game, he has been getting good. Indy does have a weaker schedule, and here's the biggest thing, and I think I can justify Indy taking this money. Jonathan Taylor matters a lot. It's been a good run. It's been a good run offense as a whole, even without him at times. Some of the underlying metrics are decent, above average, which is nice for a team that was missing their RB1. He's back. Here, Buckner's back. Like, you have two important pieces coming back in a divisional game. In Wentz, it's still a road game, but if you can get like 60% completion from Richardson, you can win this game.
Yeah, Lawrence's dot is right on top of Lamar Jackson's, which blows me away.
Yeah, he's been very effective. He was the victim of some bad play calling to start the season, and his receivers were dropping everything.
So the Jags right now are 25 to 180. If this week they win, plus 176 money line, and the Colts win, that obviously helps the Colts in this division much more than it helps the Jags, but just play along.
But Houston losing helps.
That is seven. That is a plus 725. Is there more equity in that bet or taking the Jags future price, right? Like is the 25-1 going to shorten to 5-1 ish multiplier?
You know what I do. You know what I do with this. You bet them both.
Bet them both. Okay. Well,
yeah.
That's fun.
I know you were just doing a thought exercise, and that's not the answer. I think getting both games to happen is tough. Even if Houston wins, this would be a really big win for Jacksonville long term.
Okay. Well, guess what? I just bet them both. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
I'm gonna go find it. That's a bet. I'm finding.
I mean, 25-1 is just it's a giant number for a team that I know they have banked a shit ton of losses. But let me tell you, let me actually, I did my unabated sim homework before this show. My future simulator tab, clicking it. Hopefully it oh boy, the internet's slow.
About the rain.
Oh, gateway timeout. Oh, everybody's trying to get their NBA prop information in so they can bet their NBA props. And
did I tell you about that? I went on a show last week with Davis Maddock, and he had some tool on the unabated thing where it was like basically helping him price props. And it's funny, like I have all these memberships to all these sites for one thing or another, and I don't use like 90% of the tabs. It's like, oh, this is just an unabated, huh? Like I could go do this if I wanted to go play some props. So we sat and put together underdog entries.
All right, well done killing that time.
I'm a hell of a vamper.
Yeah, great job.
AFC South, I'm 20-1 here. I'm gonna go find a 25. Is that Chris?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
And they're taking.
I won't have to look far then.
They're taking size on it, which is nice. I appreciate that. All right, sorry. All right.
This is a good comment from Sam, who's a smart cat sometimes, although he's a little heavy in the head right now because his Washington Commanders are good finally. He can't just give him shit, but he says the Jags also have built-in reasons as to why they would underperform early. New wide receivers, rookie wide receiver, Ingram hurt, defensive coordinator, coach just being who the coach is. But that checks out too. Ingram's a big piece of that offense. Him being back's big. BTJ getting it. Looks like it's happening. Like he is getting it. He's been maybe the most consistent of the rookie receivers.
My fare for Jags to win the South right now is 16-1. So 25-1 is solid.
Let's make it a bet.
I like it.
It is. That's our official team total over.
They do it.
They do. All right. I'm probably not getting in bed with the Colts here though.
No, I don't think so either. Okay. The Arizona Miami game is again very difficult to price because we don't really know what we're going to see out of Tua. Certainly the talk out of Miami is very bullish that he's going to be back and better than ever. Arizona was fairly lucky to win that game at home against the Chargers, like extremely lucky, I think. And
lucky Harbaugh was conservative. Like Harbaugh
was conservative. And the market right now is hovering above the key of 3 with Miami as 3.5 point chalk. My fare is 4.7. So I actually have a little bit of a push, a little bit of a tailwind right now saying bet Miami here. This is a diabolically bad spot for Arizona. They have a 1-day rest disadvantage. They have a massive travel disadvantage, and they are playing in an early time zone, which they have typically not shown up for. Is this like a contest play? Like what's your thought on this? Or do you need to see Tua actually make it through 4 quarters of action before you make a bet on the Dolphins? Because nothing the Dolphins have shown in Tua's absence say that this is a coherent team whatsoever.
It's such a massive upgrade, and it's not ankle injury where will he really take off and run? It's not a knee injury. It's like, can he really plant? It's not a shoulder injury, but like, can he throw the deep ball? It was a brain injury. And if he's passing, that's the ultimate. You can't lie and be like, my knee's fine, and just shoot up. Like, you have to pass all this stuff, all these cognitive tests with the independent neurologist. I feel like he's fine. I still didn't upgrade him to 100% of where I had my quarterback number to start the season, or, the height of where he should be. I think, like 90% Tua, 85% Tua is fair. But at the same time, I'm like, if I do that upgrade, I still make this like Miami -5.
Okay.
And a lot of it is just, there's so much talent in that Miami offense. And I think we forget about that when you install a 40th ranked quarterback 2-3 weeks in a row. And you just kind of completely forget that they have 4 insane offensive weapons in Mostert, Achane, Waddle, and Reek. And, Tua, I guess if you lay this, you're risking like a hard sack where he hits his head, and then you're right back at square one, and this number should move 5 points again. But I'm probably going to sell this out to 4 and play this. I don't have anything nice to say about, the Arizona defense. The Chargers gave him some gifts with some conservative play, and now they're missing Dennis Gardick, who was kind of having a nice season, snuck up. I think it was like his 7th year. Just a guy that, had been rotational and got his chance, and he had a bunch of sacks. He tore his ACL. He's out for the year. So,
thank you for mentioning that.
It's a defense that's getting worse. Murphy Bunting was ruled out with a neck injury during Monday Night Football. So, I mean, it's a very bad defense, and it's getting further hurt, whereas Miami's getting healthier in its secondary as well. With Cam probably, Cam playing. Basically, their injuries are, Tyler Huntley's injury. Storm Duck is hurt. Storm Duck doesn't matter if they get their starting cornerbacks back. So, I hate this, but I'm just going to lay it with Miami before the market catches up, because it's like 100% Tua. What's this, like 6?
Yeah.
Against that defense?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, because I'm at diminished to it, and I'm 4.7, so 4.7. So yeah, I agree. Okay, so we kind of agree. I haven't done it yet, but I may bet Miami. I like the idea of selling to 4. Atlanta, Tampa. Boy, is this a? Did you have a look at Tampa?
This was a look ahead on the over. Nothing is worse for an over than I dropped 2 points, so that's fun.
That's not as bad as having Tampa on the look ahead.
No, it could be worse. Like, if we get there, we get there. But I'm not. Obviously, I can't buy out at this point. I'm not going to. But yeah, I did have a look ahead in this over.
First of 2 rematches this week.
Yeah, it is fun. We've seen this game, and that was part of the reason I did play the over. I thought it was a little low compared to what we saw the first time they played and how good Baker's looked with these stellar wide receivers. And both of them are now gone. Godwin for the year, Mike Evans for several weeks at least, although they had said they're not putting him in IR, which is hopeful that he can be back in about 2-3 weeks. They lost another corner. Tyke Smith left with a concussion. Maybe he gets a chance to pass, but that was a Monday night game, so that gives 1 fewer days to get out of the protocol. The only other news I had, I normally wouldn't mention this and waste time on the pod, but Servassier is such a good name. And he was injured and he was on the IR, but they said he's not coming back this year. No Servassier this year. He's having surgery, so they won't be without his services. Atlanta's fairly healthy outside of just the stuff they already had. Like Bergeron was ruled out during the game. I don't have an update on him. That's something to watch, as they've had some offensive line in and out, but never too much. They had 2 at once. It was tackle and center a couple weeks back, but they're starting to get back to a little bit of health there.
What do you think of Atlanta's offense rating right now? As a guy that came into the season way hot on them, and then seeing Kirk Cousins a statue, and then seeing Kirk Cousins ball against this team, and then he was a fucking statue again last week. That's the thing. He's just going to have lows this year because of the injury. Mobility.
It's very inconsistent, and I don't understand why he wasn't able to attack the corners more in Seattle. I guess a little bit of mobility helps, but yeah, like if you want to if you want to back Atlanta, I don't know. I don't know which team you're going to get. Are you going to get the team that, 500-yard Kirk, or are you going to get Kirk who looks deer in the headlights against a below average defense and is chasing the entire game? And at that point, I mean, it started to look a lot worse when he was in chase mode too. But at the same time, Tampa's going to roll out Jalen McMillan, wide receiver 1. So this is another number that was very hard to put a number to. I'm just high on Tampa constantly still, even though, I was an Atlanta guy, still am, but my Tampa number has been high enough where I've wanted to bet them every week. And, I make Atlanta like 1-point favorites here.
I make Atlanta 0.6 point favorites here. My projection is 24-24 because of the rest and because of the injuries. I'm just going to go ahead and pass, but best of luck to.
Should we bet the tie?
NFC South teams.
Yeah, I'm going to hope it goes over because I'm holding.
Man, the NFC South went from super fun to just fucked so fast.
Do you keep a log of your weekly ratings?
Yeah, I got them all for the whole season.
Do you have that at hand? Can you tell me
Yes.
what your high was in like week 3 for the Saints?
Yes.
It was like 4 and change.
You want my Saints
just high point for the Saints
or
anywhere.
offense?
Week 3, week 4. Where was your high point for the Saints rating, overall rating?
I was 12th.
Yeah, I have them as 4 points better on a neutral in week 3.
Right now, I have them as 28th.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, that was last week. Right now, I have them as 30th.
I have like a 9.5 point difference because of a lot of the injuries.
Let me see. Yeah,
it's crazy looking at that.
I only ever got up to plus 1.2 on them.
I went nuts with it. Said, fuck it, I'm making a hard adjustment. I thought Dallas was good. Turns out that defense was not, and that was a mistake. But yeah, I have New Orleans as my 30th ranked defense, 27th ranked offense, and 30th ranked team right now. That's not who we're talking about, though. We'll get back to what is the next game?
The next game is we're in the afternoon now. Chicago at we're going to the afternoon because of rotation, but this was moved to the afternoon, so it got more eyeballs. And then, because everybody should get a chance to see Caleb Williams versus Marcus Mariota.
What's your percentage chance that they play Daniels? Like 10?
No, more like
higher?
35.
Really?
Yeah.
I was like 50-50 coming into, the week here. And then it's just slowly trickled down where I've gotten depressed about it. I think I'm just sad about it and it's gotten too low.
I think there is going to be a little bit of
how tough are you?
Not just how tough are you, but like this is a big deal. Right? That could influence decisions.
Yeah, it's one of those where it's a massive
It's
game.
a big deal for 2 reasons. Yeah, it's for a big deal because you kind of need to win and you kind of want your quarterback to keep his, keep the momentum going.
Yeah, did not practice today. X-rays were negative. He doesn't have anything broken. It does feel like shots plus a flak jacket are a possibility. But then what does the game plan look like? Does Kingsbury I mean, it's not like a lot of them are designed draws anyway. It is a lot of scrambling. Obviously, you take the designed runs probably out unless they're runs to the edge.
Yeah, I can tell you that Kingsbury's offense with Kyler Murray, when Kyler Murray was dealing with injuries that were made it tough for him to scramble, was really bad.
Yeah,
like the threat of running was a huge element that I think unlocked a lot of other stuff.
We generally panned the tweet from Rapp or Schefter, whoever it was, that like Marcus Mariota's returning, and he was such a huge influence in Jane Daniels' development.
Yes,
but of all the quarterbacks who are backups, who fits the system the best, as far as they've built it around him. Like he is kind of a plug and play shittier version of him, and he looked pretty good. And it's been
he had the best week. We talked about this. He had the best week of any quarterback.
So
somehow.
Weird.
I don't know how that's possible. All right.
Well, I mean,
guess
he was playing
Carolina
really bad
defense possible. Yeah, Carolina defense possible.
I make the Bears 1.2 point favorite. Chicago is coming off the bye, so they get a little bonus for that. But this defense is what it is. The Bears defense is advantageous spot. I don't think I have them as a massive advantage anywhere, though.
I think the answer is pretty obvious, and it's under, but it's been hit pretty hard already. This opened up at 43.5. It got baited up, I'm assuming, or small staked up to 44, and then it's been war with the underbidders just flat out winning. If you want to under 43.5 right now, you got to lay 113. I don't know how to correctly rate the Washington defense right now. I do know that those Chicago defense is legit. And I do think that the Chicago offense is probably overrated. When you have a trajectory like they had, which was fueled by playing bad defenses, that really kind of distorts perception pretty aggressively.
Both teams, too. Both teams have played a lot of bad defenses. Both offenses are probably overrated. Yeah. You're never going to get a performance like that out of Mariota again. That was just, hey, that team is giving up because they're losing.
Yeah.
And they weren't good to begin with. Their version of giving up is even worse. Somebody in the chat pointing out, Brisker, your safety is still in the concussion protocol, did not practice today. Cornerback Kyler Gordon is working through a hamstring injury. He is also not practicing today, so that secondary could be a little more beat up. I'm
Spencer with a great note. Kingsbury may be the one leaning into game planning against Caleb. A lot of familiarity there.
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, interesting. Jonathan Allen is out, but I got to tell you that Daron Payne and Jerzon Newton. Daron Payne we know is good.
All right, here, time out on that.
Yeah.
Call him Johnny.
Johnny, okay. Johnny.
He goes by Johnny because his name is impossible.
Daron Payne is excellent, and Johnny Newton held his own. He held his own fine against the Panthers. Now, it wasn't a huge ask, but this might not be either. So, I guess I kind of want to sit on the sidelines and just use this as a little bit of a measuring stick, but I also don't want to overreact to this result of this game and say, well, now we know these guys are actually good, because both offenses, I think, are on a little bit of fraud watch, and or may only be good against bad defenses, and the Commanders might have the bad defense in this matchup. It's really just a shame that we're not.
They do. Even with the injuries, the Commanders clearly have the worst defense here. They were starting to get a little better. We're seeing some things. Allen's injury matters, and they haven't played a ton of good offenses outside of the Baltimore game where they got a little exposed. The offensive line for Washington's numbers look really good on paper.
Yeah, what's up with that?
The more I dig, I believe it's quarterback influenced and it's running back influenced. So it is scheme, it is quarterback. Although they're winning their one-on-ones as well. It is good. I didn't think this offensive line would be this good. So I do think they have an advantage against the Bears pass rush, which I have much higher than I thought I would at this point of the year as well. So that's kind of the interesting matchup is Bears pass rush against this offensive line, especially if it is the backup quarterback. It might not.
I actually don't think the pass rush is going to be material one way or the other, because Johnson can wipe McLaurin off the map in this one. And so now you're saying Marcus Mariota probably under a little bit of duress, maybe beat them throwing to Noah Brown. That doesn't sound like that's very likely to be a high-profile scoring game.
Olamide Zacchaeus.
I don't think the running off attack for Washington is going to be effective at all in this one. This is an under, I think, even as low as it is.
What do you have the Bears run stop as? That's my weakness.
That's my weakness with them, but it's still way up there.
I have it below average. No, I have it like 4.
Oh wow! I haven't touched that number, I don't think, all year.
Yeah, I haven't. Obviously, I didn't this week because they didn't play. But yeah, I have that as a clear weakness.
Oh, you know what? Their rush EPA is terrible. Wow, I did not know that. Oh, that was just weeks 5 through.
Oh, excuse me. Yeah, I have the 3.95. Pass rush is a 7. coverage has been an 8 when they're healthy. Obviously, that is an injury adjustment at this point. Whereas Washington, all their offensive numbers look real good. I still think when
EPA,
healthy,
they're
it's an
20th. Rush
advantage here.
success rate, they're 17th. So yeah, they're pretty average run stop. Anyway, yeah. Okay.
But if that's what you turn to, like, hey, we have to run the ball with our 2 running backs. Again, under. It's probably an underlook.
Yeah.
Next one.
I guess I'm
Fire
overrating the Bears defense. That's interesting. I was not really paying attention to that. I guess I got to dig in a little bit more now. I'm just looking at it now. I have barely touched the Bears defensive numbers all season long. I've just left them where I was pretty much preseason.
What do you have their pass rush at?
5.
Yeah, that's the one I've ramped up the most.
Interesting.
I'm trying to look at what they had. So
coverage on
the Bears. Yeah, the Bears are getting pressure on 27% of passing downs. They're getting knockdowns, quarterback hits on 11%, 8% hurry. Everything they do pass rush wise is like in the 5 to 12 range. Like as far as rankings, obviously there's some gaps in here too, but they're getting, what's it, seventh in the league in sack percentage. Like they're getting home too, so it has gone up pretty steady for me. And it's not like a bunch of these, like who are the names on that pass rush as well? Like when you get I think
Montez
maybe that
Sweat.
Yeah, it's Sweat and DeMarcus Walker.
Oh, their tackles are okay. Their DTs are okay.
Andrew Billings. Zach Pickens has been hurt. Tremaine Edmonds. Yeah, good linebacker crew. And I think they bring some pressure from the secondary.
That was why my run grade for them was so high, as I like Edwards and Edmonds. I just kind of assumed they're just good, solid tacklers. I'm having trouble defending my Bears defensive rating. Maybe I'm just going to pass on this game.
You know what's funny though? You're off. You have 2 numbers that are wrong, and they probably average out to get the right number.
Yeah.
Sweat revenge game. Good point, Gerald.
Okay. Defense. Yeah, I'm not really sure I get what's making the Bears good defensively. They're 22nd in pressure rate right now. They're down there. They're 14th in pressure rate. They're 20th. They're 22nd in pressures counting, which is not useful. Sorry. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna dig into that more. Let's pass for now.
Okay.
And carry on back to the 1:00 slate and talk about the other rematch of the week, which is Jets Patriots. The Jets surely sound like they think this is a get right spot for them. Do you agree?
I think so. I have them on
They're
paper.
surely talking it up.
Yeah. On paper, I have a bunch of advantages for them. And I make this number, 7.7.
Man, I barely played any totals this week in NBA. And my biggest edge by a fucking mile was Magic Heat over. And I just passed. And they're already 52 points.
They're gonna have 70
left in the first. They're gonna have 70 in the first quarter. Sorry, man.
Big goof by you. Jets are on a back-to-back travel, but I mean it's only up to Foxborough. Total has come up a little. That look ahead was on the other side of 40. That makes sense. The Patriots are probably an over team. That defense has taken a big step back, which is the change in personnel and some injuries. Remember Bentley was hurt. And yeah, if you look at I did some really deep shining on my defensive numbers right now. And boy, like my Patriots stuff is sad compared to where we started the season with. So New England, the pass rush, not there. 25% coverage, 25%
Is that your biggest downgrade of any defense?
I think so. I had them pretty high to start.
Be, right?
They were in the top 10.
Got to be
right now. That they're like a 30th percentile defense. This has to be a get right spot. You have the second week. You have, I was going to say Adams practicing with Rodgers, but Adams didn't practice today. Rodgers was limited. He has like 9 different lower body injuries because he's a million years old. We'll see. I mean, just another week of being familiarized with the playbook maybe helps. It felt like they could have got him more involved. This offense should be better. Like when you have 2 good running backs, I know we can make fun of Alan Lazard, but Alan Lazard still runs a pretty crisp route and finds himself open. He's getting separation. You saw the Lazard game. Obviously, maybe, a Hail Mary helps the numbers, but even taking that out, he had a good game.
Yeah, Lazard's playing great.
So I don't understand why this New England, the Jets defense is as bad as it's been, but I'm not interested in laying 7 points on the road with Aaron Rodgers right now.
No disagreement. I'm bang on both side and total here, so I didn't even really think hard about this game at all. I could be
talked into this over.
You're at like 42, 43.
If the Jets offense gets right,
it's gotten bet up, right?
It has, I think. It was definitely up off the look ahead. The look ahead was on the other side, so now it's at 40. So there's been a little bit of two-way, I think.
40. Actually, it's come down. Yeah, it hit 42 as a high point, and it's come down to 41. Okay, well, I agree with you. I think the over is a better bet than the under.
And this is the key. Zelensky beat me to it. This son of a bitch. The Patriots' offense looked good when they were semi-aggressive. I don't know what they're waiting for. Maybe I get bit by this again, and Van Pelt he just sucks, and he's not going to let the.
I think he does.
Off. I think he legitimately does suck. If he doesn't let the training wheels off May, I don't know if we get there, but this Jets secondary is beat up. This looks like a spot where they should be able to attack this defense. Outside of, like I said, the 2 injuries there that were, quarterback, wide receiver too. You got 2 safeties that are, I think it was concussion. Tony Adams had the hamstring injury. They've got offensive line injuries as well. We'll see what that looks like. I don't know that it matters against the pass rush they'll be going up against, but the Jets should get what they want. The Jets should win by a touchdown more than likely, but is it 17-10 or is it 31-24? Because I do think that the secondary can be beaten, and if they let May off the leash a little bit, the Patriots should be able to score, and that would just drive the Jets to throw more. So over at 40, even though there's some resistance, I have to look at that. It does scare you when it comes down a couple points like that. And I don't know what would be holding it back. It looks like for the Patriots, I mean, what's the injury concerns there? Ramondre Stevenson missed, but that was a personal issue today. Sounds like he's back or he's fine. Demario Douglas didn't even get to play. He was sick on Sundays. He'll be fine. The offensive line is non-existent. I don't know if people are saying like Hassan Reddick is going to fix things. I don't know about that. So yeah,
I got nothing else on this one. Yeah, I did forget one of my Bears notes though, Andy.
Go ahead. I don't mind.
The Decatur Staleys haven't been playing football since 1920. Yes. It's been a long time since the Decatur Staleys were a football team, and in fact,
the NFL champion Decatur Staleys.
Yeah, A.E. Staley, the food starch of the Food Starch Company in Decatur, Illinois. They sold the Decatur Staleys to George Halas for $500. He renamed them the Bears, and he has not sold. They have not been passed on financially since that point in time. So they currently they were the
shrewd businessman.
Cheapest franchise in history, and that might be total hearsay about what the actual price was in the transaction there. I think the Staleys basically, they just were like, you want them, you can have them. So we'll see. Been a while since we had Decatur Staley football. Certainly not 1958.
Yeah, it could be. What's the word for that?
They're extinct?
No, you have like a fact that it's like semi well established about his history, but it's wrong. The cherry tree.
Oh yeah.
I got anachronistic in my head, and that's not the word.
The anachronism is when
that's something that wouldn't fit the time period.
Damn, what is that? It's like when like urban legend becomes like more of a more than that. Apocrypha, says Christopher Davis.
Apocryphal.
That sounds right.
Apocryphal. Yes, that is word. All right, we need to move on. We have so many games. Getting slight overlean. Where's that leave us? Philly Cincy?
Oh, apparently also somebody's trying to correct me in the DMs. Bears were sold for $100, not $500. So even cheaper, even better deal.
Papa
Anyway.
Hallis.
Dallas, Seattle. You got any thoughts?
I don't know. Seattle and Atlanta playing last week was pretty apt because I can't make sense of either of those teams. Geno Smith looks very good at times, and then he, in his 3 interception game a couple weeks ago, he made some very bad passes, Rodgers-esque, where it's like, man, this guy has it, and he has it at times, but we've seen some real bad passes. I think it comes down to who you're playing, and geez, do you even lean on Geno in this spot? This seems like such a good spot to just run the goddamn ball, even off a bye. Even getting a little healthier, and it does look like the Cowboys are going to maybe get some guys back. Some of those are going to be game time decisions. Parsons
Buffalo?
Game time kind of.
Well, you're way in the future, man. This is Buffalo at Seattle.
Oh, I'm talking Dallas for some reason.
Buffalo Bills.
Scratch all that. There's too many games. Buffalo is a whole different team. They're a franchise near Canada.
Yeah.
Drew did Drew say Cowboys?
I said Cowboys.
That's how much I haven't looked at this game yet because he convinced me.
I said Buffalo, Seattle. I'll have to check the tape. I'm pretty sure
we're gonna have to check the tape. All right, scratch that, reverse it. We'll go back. Seattle, Buffalo. Everything I said about Seattle still stands outside of it being a run funnel. This Buffalo defense is actually slightly above average. Run stop. They've had some injuries in the secondary. I think you can pass in them. What's keeping this from going over?
Great question. Bigger question for me is I did say Cowboys Seahawks, huh? Okay, well, we'll check it out. The Bills Seahawks fair for me is Bills favored by a very small amount. And the current line is 3. And I've been wrestling about what to do with this all week. Your point about the total also intrigues me because I show some value to the over. And that is, in a lot of ways, a chicken's way out of actually betting on a home dog is to bet the over, because you're basically like, I like them. They're going to keep it close. They're going to keep it interesting. They're going to score points. And I don't really know what game state spooks me the most here. Probably Seattle with the lead and having Josh Allen just go, okay, time to get super nuclear aggressive. The pass rate over expectation for the Bills last week was eye-popping now that they have Amari Cooper in the mix, and that might have just been like, hey, we know we're going to win, and now we're down 10. Like, that might have just been dictated by that, as opposed to like, no, this is who we're going to be now. I think a conservative approach from McDermott in this game opens up the door for Seattle to steal this one, and I think Seattle getting healthier is a bet on for me, but I'm going to tread very lightly here.
I'm probably betting Seattle. I think market's a little low with the Metcalf injury. Like, you have some DK Metcalf is very, very good, but you have some decent fallback options here. I don't know that Terrell Bernard plays. I don't know. It sounds like, what was it? Dorian Williams. I think he was injured too.
We got a new wave of injuries to defensive players.
Injuries. It was still a weak spine. And this is a road game. You want Buffalo to go play on the road and cover this number. Like, I'm kind of in the same boat with you. I make Buffalo favored by like half a point here. That is the thing too. With this total, we are seeing some weather, but the way the way Lumen is too, it doesn't feel like does the wind really get down in there? I know it's not full S Miami, but I think I have seen decent winds in Seattle. So keep an eye on the weather. The wind
they're calling for right now is only 11 miles an hour. It looks like it's almost certainly going to be raining. which surprise, it's Seattle. It's October.
Does Gino have a big crazy man zone split? I don't know that he does. DK does. You can't, that obviously doesn't help us this week. Maybe Gino does. I'll have to dig into that. Probably taking Seattle here at home, getting points against a team that I rate them, lower than, but close enough to where I don't think they should be getting a full field goal here. I'm fine.
Seattle's offensive line is getting healthier. That is improving. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, bad run team. But it has been a good pass rush at times. The coverage has been mediocre. Like I said, Buffalo's defense, I have some weird ratings on them. Basically, another one where slightly below average as a whole, but it has been able to stop the run. Coverage has been weak. Whereas if Gino has a good game, Josh did play at Wyoming. He's not afraid of the West. He's not afraid of this weather. He played out on the plains. Fuck, I bet there's so much wind in Wyoming. You ever been out there, man? We were just talking about Wyoming before the show started today. Yeah, Seattle for me.
Okay. Taking the 3. Let's move on. New Orleans at the Chargers. My notes say Widowmaker spot for the Chargers, but I guess
you got the guts.
Good luck. This came off of 7.5. This was 7.5 at one point, and somebody did make a healthy bet on the Saints to push it down to 7. I agree with that. My fair on this one is 6.9. My fair total is 40.5, and the current market total looks like 40.5. So I'm not going to have action on this one, but I am kind of curious if you think there's an edge here for New Orleans, as they don't seem like a team that really has any interest in just kind of giving it up and, kind of pivoting into tank mode.
They could be a lot healthier this week. There's some people that could be getting back. Taysom almost certainly, Ruiz maybe, and that's something to monitor if you really want to back the Saints, because they could be getting 3 or 4 starters back. I make it like 7 and change. I'm pretty close to this with the downgrades I've had to make for this offense with Rattler. I don't know. Basically, like, the bet is, would you take the Widowmaker? Do you want to fade the Widowmaker? Do you want to leave a Widowmaker on the table? Because this is a Chargers played off Monday, so they're getting fewer days rest. New Orleans played off Thursday. They have extra rest, extra time to get healthy, extra time to game plan. It's just the rating for everything New Orleans is so bad. They can't stop the run. I think that's the main concern with me here. It feels like the Chargers will be able to run. I have, currently rostered with some of the pieces that have been out and some of the teams they've had to face, it is one of the worst run defenses down there in the Dallas range for me. And what have we seen from the Chargers when they want to play bully ball? It works anyway. So it does feel like they can probably just play ball control, some long strewn out drives, and then I guess the total on the side kind of come down to how you feel about the Chargers pass rush, how you feel about the Chargers, as a coverage unit against Spencer Rattler. So it feels like a low scoring game where maybe the Saints don't score too many of their points. Yeah. 17-5. That's my final score prediction. Yeah, it is a better Saints team, but this is a tougher opponent, although having all the rest advantage. So if it gets bet up day of game and you're getting like 8s, it's the Widowmaker. Why not?
You think it's going to get bet up to a game?
I'm seeing there's some 7s. There's some 7.5s on the market right now.
Yeah, plus 100 though. Plus 108. Yeah, that's
Would you tease the Chargers? I kind of like that because of the low total, and like I said, they'd be apt to run against a bad run defense. Probably going to put this in some teasers with.
I guess my thought on the Chargers is I'm very confused. I thought that going into that Cardinals game, their offense was underrated and their defense was overrated. And I feel like the results of that game backed that up, but then ultimately mounted to a losing bet and the over 43. So now I kind of don't know what to do with that information. I think the Chargers are going to score in this one, though. The Saints defense is absolutely in shambles the way you kind of laid it out there. And with this low total, even with a 7 point, even with the 7 point side, we're looking at a team total that's like in the 23.5 range. So I kind of want to bet that as team total over, and just whatever you get out of the Saints is what it is. Because also, who's been especially good at giving opponents very positive field position and or defensive scores? The Saints offense under Spencer Rattler. Yeah. Oh my God, that's like a huge part of their identity.
Rattler, even with extra time, it's not a quarterback you're gonna want to trust. Yeah, and the red zone offense and some of the conservative decisions did really hurt them. They should have won that game. They were. I should pull up. What do we call that? The adjusted box score. What does our guy do? I can't think of his name right now.
Kevin Cole?
Because he doesn't put his name on his emails. It say unexpected points.
Kevin Cole.
Kevin Cole's unexpected points. His was that a late game or an early game? That was a late.
It was a Monday game. It was a Monday game.
Oh yeah. My brain is just absolutely mush right now. So his box score for that would have been Cardinals 21, Chargers 20. That's interesting.
Well,
a minus 14 EPA disadvantage on high leverage third and fourth downs. The fumble out of the end zone drove me up a wall.
That's 7
I had
points.
Over in that one as well.
All right. Well, let's keep that in the hopper for secret pod play then, as a team total over for the Chargers. I don't think I have any other interest in betting that one. Philly at Cincy. This one is,
I bet,
in the books for me at Philly +3. It is currently Philly -2.5 juiced. Don't really have an interest in betting +2.5. My fare for this one is basically a pick 'em. I have Cincy as a very, very small favorite, and I have Cincy in sort of the same camp as Houston right now, as like, okay, congratulations on winning. I suppose you're bad, or you could be bad.
You could,
yeah, or something that you're doing is not quite working, and I don't really know what to make of it. Their defense remains still quite poor, despite huge steps forward. But that could be opponent related. The fact that they only won by 7 against the Browns, and I know there was garbage time points for the Browns, but like, that should have been like a 31-3 kind of game. The Bengals offense right now is top 12, I think, but it's on the border. The running game is very inconsistent. The offensive line is cycling through some injuries, which I think will matter for this one. And even though I bet on Cincy last week and I bet against the Eagles, I think this is a spot for the Eagles this week.
Yeah, I have like a 70-something percentile passing game, but I have it as like a 45th percentile offense. Just because, factoring in the offensive line, factoring in what they've had for pass production, factoring in the run game, their red zone, everything. Like, this should be such a better offense. I don't know what it is. I can't quite put my finger on it. If it's been play calling, if it's been execution, they're healthy now. I don't know what the excuse is. And yeah, I mean, the biggest part is we saw it last week. If they want to, they're fully willing to just commit to the run in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
And say, like, guess what? Stop it if you want to stop it. And I don't know where you have the Giants for run stop team. Below average for me.
Downgraded.
Yeah, I mean, downgraded. I have them below average, but not like horrible.
Right.
Whereas Cincinnati, I do have as horrible. Definitely below the Giants. This is a worse run defense you're going to face. And I mean, I'm trying to find reasons not to back Philly. I don't want the points. Philly straight up. especially since if you that's what you say when you miss the 3. I don't need the points. I'll just take them straight up, which I did. But I mean, the only thing you can take away from Philly is back-to-back travel. But again, it's Tri-Cities to Cincy. That's not a huge difference. So I make Cincinnati a tiny favorite here. I played Philly straight up.
Yeah, Cincy tiny favorite.
I think they can just run.
Yeah,
it's kind of it's dumb and simple.
I'll note the Bengals defense with BJ Hill back has been better at run stop. But if you can get to the second level, then you're going to toast these guys. And in general, with AJ Brown kind of getting more in form, Devontae Smith back, like you're going to test the secondary too. Eagles should score into the high 20s here. And I said that previously against a team that was even worse defensively 2 weeks ago, and they didn't get there. Actually, no, that was against the Browns. Never mind. They're not worse defensively than Bengals. But yeah, I think the Eagles should be able to pick their number in this one. And I think their march to kind of competency in the NFC East is coming.
Yeah, and Goddard maybe misses again. That sucks. I don't know about Becton at this point. He did not practice today. Tyler Steen would fill in for him at right guard. Zach Bond didn't practice. Goddard did not practice with his hamstring. If he plays, that's a bonus. I'm kind of penciling him out and still playing the Eagles.
Okay.
And teasing him.
Yeah. The Chiefs head to the Raiders. They are 10-point favorites. The total is 41. My question for you, Andy, is will Andy Reid put away the good plays? And second question is, do they have good plays? And then we'll end with a little factoid from our friend Brad, who sent a great tweet from one of the AP guys that was just mind-blowing.
I read that.
That was hilarious.
That tweet is like 5 of the funnest facts I've ever heard. So I went for a walk and I listened to Chernoff's thing today, and I feel like he brought this up. I've listened to a couple this week. He brought it up a couple times. I want to know your temperature and sound off in the chat. Hey, sound off in the chat, guys, on this too. But do you remember when they beat Kansas City and they made a big fucking deal of it last year?
Oh yeah,
they were smoking cigars.
Oh, I remember.
They had the Kermit the Frog thing, and Mahomes said, "Oh, we'll see about that when we play them." Like, do they care that much about a loser franchise like the Raiders that they're gonna run it up on them? Can they run it up on anyone right now?
God, I don't know. It's a good question. I mean, the defense.
Brought it off, and I mean, it's not nothing.
The defense could pitch a shutout. Surely.
That's kind of where I'm at. I want to parlay the Raiders and the Panthers to be shut out because they're both going to be fun. 30 to 30. I mean, you're talking it's like a 900 to 1 parlay.
Yeah, I love it. I'm in. Count me in.
That's a fun one.
The Raiders note from Josh Dubow of the AP. The Raiders are the last team to beat the Chiefs. They're the last team to beat the Ravens. They're the only team to lose to the Panthers this year.
This last one's painful for you.
And they're the only team to lose to a team coached by Jeff Saturday. And that about sums it up in terms of the absurdity that is the Las Vegas Raiders. That Saturday loss was my biggest loss of the season that year, and what was otherwise a very good betting season for me.
So I still, I
know,
makes no sense. Play that game 100 more times.
I dare you to win one other one. Yeah. Yeah. So the Raiders obviously can't be trusted. This is Minshew, right?
A ton of points. It is Minshew. So that's, back to where we started, I guess, because that's how they began the season. But it's like 4 to 6 weeks for AOC with the broken hand. One of their backup tight end, Harrison Bryant, hurt his elbow pretty bad. He didn't practice today. Colton Miller and Dylan Parham didn't practice today. Your left tackle out isn't great. And then the only positive for the Raiders, Jacoby Myers did return to practice. He's missed the last 2 games. So
the Raiders need to lose.
They do need to lose, and it's such a good defense. Like, all my upgrades have been defensively. Juju's out, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, he's expected to
miss. Out.
Jalen Watson definitely out. He broke his ankle.
Do you think the Hopkins trade matters? Did you move a number at all for Kansas City with Hopkins trade?
No, I gotta see it first. All these old receivers, like, oh man, that's a big name. Yeah, it was like 5 years ago.
Yeah,
Even-
Kansas City's offense is not very good, but Kings Court 999 is right. Their schedule is easy except for Buffalo. They could go undefeated, and it shouldn't shock anyone. Like Mahomes scramble is the most unstoppable play in football, apparently, and their defense is all universe. So it's going to continue to be very tough for teams to beat these guys.
I promise Drew will tweet out a couple of those if teams he likes are winning this weekend.
For sure. I gotta wait until
you used to do that
cover
more.
is in. I gotta wait until
once the cover's in, then you post.
Well, I used to have more, like a bigger public.
You need to make a Taylor Swift one.
Well, yeah, I used to have a bigger public, like
repository.
Not a repository, but just like more people. More, I was on more places saying what I bet loudly, and so there was like a more of a camaraderie when somebody was covering. Now I just feel like I'm doing it in silence for the most part, and so I don't feel like
we'll yell it to the rooftops tomorrow with Sammy.
Okay, yeah. If tomorrow is going to be a big day for the Ramathorns. I don't have anything else to say about
10 points.
that
10
game.
points is a lot on the road for
lot.
an offense that we have.
God
It's
damn,
crazy because this number's probably correct based on the massive advantage I have for the Kansas City run stop, the Kansas City pass rush, the Kansas City offensive line, even against Max Crosby. I mean, as a whole, the numbers for their defensive line don't look that good. I just up and down the board, it's massive advantages. I'm still at like 8.5. Okay, I can't get to 10. So this is plug your nose and take the Raiders at home. And, I think you're praying for a very slow second half or some really ugly garbage time from Gardner Minshew, which if you wanted a garbage time quarterback, I guess you got one. Like he's finding trash time. So it's plug your nose or leave it alone.
Okay. Moving on to the other plug your nose or leave it alone, I suppose, or probably just leave it alone, is the Carolina Panthers at the Denver Broncos. We live in a time and a place, Andy, where Bo Nix, who is incapable of completing downfield passes, like literally skipping balls to his tight end's feet that are schemed wide open, is laying 10 points. And that is because the other quarterback is Bryce Young.
Yeah.
Andy Dalton gets in a car accident. Bryce Young will make his return to our television screens. And all I can ask is that Red Zone sticks with a quad box and elects to leave this one out because I don't really care to see Bo Nix or Andy Dalton play football. Bo Nix or Bryce Young play football. This is the Showerfart game of the week of the year. And I cannot believe the spread is out to 10, but I get it.
I made a case. I did a show yesterday. I made a case for this. I said I'd lay it at 8 or 9 because I really like. I don't think you need to score more than like 17 points to cover this.
Mm-hmm.
It really didn't feel like I am going to bet the shutout. I wasn't joking about parlaying those either. That's a fun one to have in the account for a few shekels. But like Carolina's on a back-to-back travel spot, going to altitude with the world's shittiest team with Denver extra rest. I don't care if Bo Nix has one arm. Like he's playing the world's worst defense. He should be able to just lean on his running backs. I mean, this is another spot where Denver has a massive advantage in the run game in my numbers here. Just going against it. It's not because Denver has great numbers. So Denver's running offense. Oh, actually, it's a run defense too. I have advantages on both sides, but the Carolina run defense is bottom of the league for me. And this is a slightly above average running offense. So you should have a massive advantage there. Like pass rush. Denver's pass rush has been great. This is a bad offensive line with a quarterback who can't see over it. Surtain will be back. Like Surtain should probably just sit another week, but I mean he's been out 2 weeks. He's gonna be fine from the concussion. Denver might just run and run and run. This is the Chargers game with a better defense. Like I think Denver needs to get to 17 to cover this. I don't love saying, hey, you guys should lay 10 points. I liked it a lot better when I was like, hey, yeah, 8.5. I'd play this. Because I really feel like there's a lot of outcomes where Carolina does not get more than 7 points.
Yeah.
And Denver just finding 5 red zone possessions with the running backs seems likely. And 2 touchdowns, 3 field goals. What's that get you? 20 points, 23. Mm-hmm. There we go. Mm-hmm. Yeah, 23-7. So I did lay this. So I gave it out, and then it started to move. I played it at 9.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. From there, it's a little tough.
Let me ask you a hypothetical. Over under 1.5 games in his career that Bo Nix is a double-digit favorite.
I'd say over.
There'll be another one of these.
He has the Raiders in the division.
Yeah.
What if they don't solve? What would you make? What would you make Las Vegas going to Denver right now? Yeah, my numbers right now
not 10
would make that like 7.5.
Didn't they already play in Denver this year?
Yeah, but I mean, as currently rostered without Devontae, and if they were coming off a back-to-back like this, there might be a situational spot where the Raiders are 10-point dogs. But I mean, it does seem like Nix is starting to improve. He's still bad. He's like he's probably your 23rd best quarterback, which isn't so much about him. It's about there's a lot of bad quarterbacks at the bottom. You're seeing some signs of improvement, and the run game is really helping him. So I think they can get to 20 points here.
Okay. There might be another one this year, actually. The Raiders host the Browns in a time frame where DTR might be back. And they could be literally playing for draft choice.
The
Browns versus the Broncos. There's a world where that can get to 10 with DTR.
Somebody, I didn't reply to this DM yet. I should acknowledge it. I'll acknowledge it on the air. Somebody bust out. He's like, you got to bust out the 3-team 10-point sweetheart Bovada teaser for this week.
Oh yeah. Except make sure
you people are just making that synthetically with the money lines.
Bovada teaser. A push is a loss, which is really fucked up.
So yeah, and that's the other thing. Like, if you're doing it, just play the 3 money lines.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, don't use the sweetheart teaser because a push is a loss. And you tease one of those down to like 1, and you push, you're gonna be very mad.
I did bet the Bulls. I got irrationally excited for a minute there. The Bulls versus the Pelicans. I played that under. And the ESPN score bug was broken, said it was 0-0 with 7 minutes in the first quarter. And I was like, oh my God, fuck yes. That's definitely going under. But it was broken. And the actual score is 9:25 after 1 quarter.
I do miss the 900 teaser options on 5.
Oh, those were the best.
Like 4 points ties lose, 4 points ties win, 4-point ties push, 4.5 points ties win.
Yeah.
Just all the way down.
So
and then
fun.
You get into pleasers.
And you can leave them open for as long as you want.
Yeah, just put 25 legger. Who cares?
Yeah.
All right, what's up next?
He's in the Super Bowl with a Hall of Fame game. Doable. Thank God that game is behind us. Let's talk about Dallas, San Francisco. I don't actually have a sense of whether you think the market has moved too far on this, considering Deebo Samuel might play after all. But the Niners are down to 4-point favorites at home against the Cowboys team that's coming off of a bye and is pretty desperate to save their season. It sounds to me, at least, like reinforcements are coming for this Dallas defense, and that the Niners see themselves in a state of disrepair at the wide receiver position, which is understandable. But I'm not sure which of these two teams I would say is their fan base is more reason to be disappointed with what's happened so far this season. I guess. Yeah, I guess it's probably the Cowboys, because feels like there's less hope there, and their owner is trolling their fans, and their owner is trolling their media. But the Niners are pretty disappointing so far. This was a team that I thought should have been the top power rated team for a lot of the season, and now I feel very differently. How do you feel about them right now?
Yeah, the injuries stink. because it makes it really hard to figure out what's going on with them. And the Debo thing was surprising. It felt like for sure out when it was like, hey, he spent Monday in the hospital in a different city and he has water in his lungs and whatever, fluids. But I mean, the reports today were he was back and he looks a lot better than they thought he would. I don't know. I'm still penciling him out right now and leaving this game alone, but my numbers would say to bet Dallas in the spot. I've been lower basically on everything for San Francisco than I thought I would. This defense I thought would be very good. I have them as basically the Packers. Like it is another middle of the back defense. This has still been a good passing team, but you're seeing some cracks in what Purdy's doing, which is annoying. I have them above average for sure, but a lot of it is trying to make adjustments for missing this many pieces now. Jordan Mason's been great. He took the day off because he's been banged up with that shoulder. You should probably be able to just ride him. It's crazy that Christian McCaffrey's out and you're getting as much as you are at Jordan Mason. He was just limited. I think they're just trying to limit the amount of bangs on that shoulder in practice. But with him out, Kittle did not practice. Juwan Jennings hopes to be back, but he didn't practice today. Nick Bosa's limited with his elbow injury. Debo has pleurisy. Ayuk tore his knee. McCaffrey's coming back in 3 weeks. Chris Conley, further down the wide receiver charts, limited with a sprained ankle. Like if you're getting healthier in the Dallas defense and have this many injuries, I don't know how you lay points here with Dallas off a bye.
Yeah, that makes sense. Believe it or not, the preseason look ahead here was San Francisco minus 4.5. So this has actually come into Dallas, which is crazy. Yeah, I mean, my fair is a hair under 4. I don't think it's bettable at 4. I didn't bet it when it was bigger. And I don't really regret it because this is like a buy low for one of these two teams. I just don't know which one.
I think if you have success for San Francisco, it is on the back of Jordan Mason. And if you have success for Dallas offensively, I'd be surprised, even against the middle of the pack defense. They completely lack a running game. Yeah. And if you can take away CD, I don't know what your other options are. A bunch of goofy tight ends, and your other wide receiver had a infected knee. He's out for weeks. He'll still at this point, I think. So I don't know how the Dallas defense gets there. This is a total that's, I think it has come down a little. Where did we open at?
I was so disappointed in the Niners not getting up for that game last week. They were just flat against the Chiefs, and I don't get that. I don't get it.
Yeah. This total has been bet down, and I think that makes sense as well. Yeah. I don't know if I want to take the worst of the number, but probably should be like 45, right?
Yes. It should be 40. Should be 40.
What's your price?
44.8.
So yeah, I'm at 45-ish. I think you can still get it. I think you can still make a case for this under.
Okay, so under, if anything, on Sunday Night Football. I like that. Yeah. Giants Steelers is a 36-point total. It's a 36-point total in prime time. Thank you very much to the NFL for making sure that the Rooney Mara Bowl made it into prime time. Give me the Giants. I'm not buying this Russell Wilson and the Mike Tomlin stuff this week as far as being winners of the week. The balls that Russ was throwing were just inexcusably.
Somebody was like, somebody on like a major network was like, "Oh, that deep ball's looking good." They're all short.
They're all good ducks. They're all ducks.
He was getting bailed up by bouncing balls.
Literally like, I was looking for like one pass where I was like, "All right, there it is. He's got it." That was a very fluky win, full of voodoo, and I can't believe I'm betting against the voodoo again. But my fair on this one is just on the other side of 3. It's 6.5 right now, which is insane. I know that the Giants have offensive line issues. I know that their defense just got exposed, but there's not a huge margin. There's not this big of a margin between these teams. The Steelers are at best a slightly above league average team, and I do not believe that the Giants are down in the +6 range. What about you?
I have a sizable advantage for the Pittsburgh run stop in this one, but I don't think the Giants are going to win this game or keep it close with their running game anyway. They're going to need to find the rookie. They're going to need to pass a little here. They're going to need a decent game from Danny Dimes. Oof. I mean, it sucks to bet on him, but I'm not nearly as bullish as you. But I still make this 4 and change. I'm trying to find my number here again. I make it 4.6, and yeah, we're out to 6.5. It's too much. I'm abstaining for now.
Okay.
But yeah, I think the total's probably still too high, which is terrible to say. So I don't think you're going to get the aerial magic that we saw last week, even against the Giants defense. And yeah, I guess I want to find – I like this, Patrick, because this is kind of where I was headed. Not exactly neighbors' targets. I was going to try to find some props on some Giants. Like, what would be the game plan? Your run game stymied. You need to go through the air. Like, where are you going that's not neighbors? I haven't looked at what their pass dispersion is yet as far as how much they use, which tight ends or whatnot. But I'm going to try to find some low yardage totals on, I don't know, maybe like Wandale. God, Theo Johnson. I want to bet their tight ends. Yeah, Pickens did just save Russ's ass multiple times. Pickens is crazy. Like, if that guy tried, he could be all pro. It feels like he doesn't try half the time. So
there was a whole thing.
It's funny too, and Josh is pointing out the road splits. So Dimes does have better career on the road. He is 41 and 14 on the road, touchdown interception, 27 and 30 touchdown interception at home.
Dude, the Orlando Magic. God, I can't believe they hit that 3 at the end of the half. Fucking awesome.
Who's that?
The Orlando Magic up 4 into the half against the Heat. What a team. What a squad. All right. That about covers it for me, man. Good job. Hour 45. We did them all.
Yeah. Yeah, I forgot he has a playoff win. I mean, that was against a bottom of the fucking barrel defense. That was such a bad defense. That's how Daniel Jones got paid, man. He beat really bad defenses at times.
That was the game.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Yep.
You're welcome, New York. Yeah, any final thoughts? Did you have a team total?
I think Chargers over is my favorite.
Yeah.
And
so if it's 23 now.
Let's do Chargers over. Let's take a little Jags 25-1 South, and let's put a little shutout parlay together for Vegas and Carolina.
I see. I've seen other people had the same idea on the Panthers. People.
Do you think there's any scope that Bryce Young has some sort of breakthrough?
He looked happy not playing. I don't think he wants to play again.
He's just a little guy. It's tough out there.
He's just a little guy.
All right. Let's do Chargers over 23.5. I think that gets there. Especially with the Saints giving them some short fields.
Okay. We're really there. He did look happy on the bench. Eagles team total over 23.5.
That's a nice one too for Spencer. Yeah.
Spencer Couch.
If I didn't have some recently getting rammed by them, I would play that.
It's called it. Super proud of us. Proud of you guys. Really good. Really, really strong chat performance.
Really good. Oh yeah. The MVPs of week 8 have been the chat. No question.
Good ideas, good fun facts, a ton of great shit. Really good job, guys. We'll catch you tomorrow night. And yeah, check us out on Sam Panayotovich's show previous to the Thursday night game. I'll tweet it out. I mean, just follow me on Twitter, guys. I'll tweet it out. Drew will tweet it out. We'll be on a show talking about the game before the game, and then we'll meet you at halftime as well.